Okay. I think I'm ready. All right, hello everyone and welcome. My name is John and this is my variegated fiddle. I've been growing this thing for a little over 3 years now, and it is time today for its first chop. So I'm gonna repot it and I'm gonna take some cuttings, and I have quite a few reasons for doing this now. So I'll walk you through all of that and we're gonna have a good time. All right, so why are we doing this today? Why don't I just let this thing grow? So here's a little bit of backstory. I live here with southeast facing windows in my bedroom. So in the winter, the sun is lower in the sky, it comes blasting through. And so it damaged all these leaves, so they start turning orangish brown. In the summer, the sun is higher in the sky. It doesn't actually get much direct light, so it's gonna be fine. But I also recently filled this reservoir too high, so some of these leaves are showing some damage from overwatering, although this could also be nutrient burn from too high of a concentration of nutrients in there. So when you repot a ficus or when you stress it in any way, it's gonna usually respond by dropping some lower leaves. And so if I just repot this and let it do its thing, it might lose a bunch of these damaged leaves and then just be a tall stick with growth at the top. So I don't want that. So this is a perfect time to chop it back, so it's gonna encourage it to actually bush out. And then if it loses all these lower leaves, but it has like multiple new branches, that's gonna look super good. And I am ready with the shear curtains for next winter, so I'm not gonna let this light damage happen again. So basically, this is the perfect time to do it. And also, this thing's been growing in pure diatomaceous earth, hydroponically, reservoir at the bottom. It's been working really well. Actually, I have a lot of plants in just that, with water in the bottom, reservoir setup, or with the wick down into a reservoir. So while I do like this stuff for passive hydroponics, I want to put it into a blend of pumice and turface so that it can have a little more air in the root zone, so it can just be a little bit happier. So we're gonna do that all today, so let's get it started. Okay, so I want to take a look at the lens, not the screen. Okay, so I want to take a really nice tip cutting with all of these new leaves, and I wanted to have a good chunk of stem so that it can root really, really well and have a lot of energy. So here's what I'm gonna do. These 4 leaves here and the next 4 below it, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove those 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so then this is where I will make the cut for this tip cutting. Okay, so I gotta throw this into a cup because it's gonna drip. Ta-da! Okay, so next step, I'm gonna leave 7 leaves on here. Why? Because I just feel like that's a good amount. That will give it plenty of options for buds to push out. So we're gonna count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so there's 7 leaves left on the mother plant. These 4 I'm gonna turn into single leaf cuttings. Okay, so a little intense, but not too bad. This thing it's doing great. It's gonna bounce back very soon, and it's gonna look better than ever. So I'm excited for this. It's ready. This plant has been ready for a big chop. So let us commence with the repotting. So I'm just gonna dump this out. We'll see how it looks. Root zone looks pretty good. It's normal for ficus roots to be brown because they turn into wood. So we're not looking for white roots. Only the brand new ones will be white. You can see the very bottom of the root zone, not compacted, still very granular. So that's awesome. So we got the root pick here. Just gonna go fingers first. Just gently loosen this all up. Yes, yeah, doesn't that feel good? Isn't that nice? So I'm just teasing these roots out because I want them to grow into the new mixture as quickly as possible. If they're like clumped together, then they're just gonna be sitting there for a while and it's hard for them to like find their way out. Of course, they'll do it eventually, but I wanna make this transition as nice as possible. So overall, root system looking good. Really, really fine roots. And those are more efficient. So having as many teeny tiny thin roots as possible compared to big ones the plant is able to get much more out of the pot it's in. So that's why bonsais are grown in very tiny pots with a specific type of soil mixture, because then all the roots can grow in these super dense patterns. Okay, all right, so I got all the mixture off. I cut a new soil screen. I didn't like the other one. It had a little gap so that some of the new medium was gonna fall through. Got the roots watered so they aren't drying out during this whole process. And now we're ready to add the new mix. So pumice and turfase, equal parts. I previously had this in turfase lava, equal parts passively hydroponics. It was working well, but I became very curious about the diatomaceous earth and switched everything, which also was good. But so time to go back to this similar mixture to before. My goal right now is to see if I can fill the pot halfway before I put the plant in, because that will give it just so much room to grow and also will allow me to maximize that reservoir. So we'll try it. If it doesn't quite fit, I'll back it off a little bit. So here is this blend. You can see particle size is good. Between about 12th inch and a little more than 1/4 inch. Excuse me. All right, so overfilling and then start poking it down into the root zone. Very good. Yeah. Okay, you can't see this, but that's a mess. Okay, so this is a long project, but here we go. So time to pot up these cuttings. So I have some cups here, and I've propagated a lot in cups and bottles and jars, just leaving a layer of water at the bottom to soak up. I've done that a lot in different things. You might have seen my magical propagation video where I explain that method using perlite. I'm gonna do the same thing now here, but with pumice, with one difference, which I haven't tested, but it's gonna be fine for sure. So instead of just having this being sealed, I drilled a hole about 3/4, maybe 1 inch from the bottom, so that it's gonna be easy to flush it without having to like try and make sure I'm not tipping all of the pumice out. So I'll be able to, so once these actually start rooting and I am getting to the stage of adding some light nutrient water, it's gonna be really easy to flush that out. But until then, it's gonna also drain really well and keep a layer in there for me. Okay, gotta get down kind of low. So for the tip cutting, the big one, I left all this stem on purpose because all of that has rooting potential. So I wanna get that mostly covered. So I'm gonna add a layer just above that hole, so none of this will be in the water itself. Oh, literally trying to escape. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry. Yes, I'm the one who cut you, but please don't be afraid. Okay, so you might think it'd be cool to have some exposed stem, and I would agree, but I'd rather have this get as many roots as quickly as possible so that it can support all of these beautiful leaves and I'll have the highest chance of success. Okay, should have just been sitting in this posture. So for these guys have only a small amount of root trunk, so hopefully that's enough. it should be. You can definitely do single leaf cuttings with ficuses, and I've done that successfully with Ficus elastica rubber trees in the past. So for these, I want the trunk to be fully buried, but just slightly, so that the new growth eventually will not have to struggle so hard to come up out of there. Okay, I think that it still doesn't feel quite stable enough, so I'm gonna go a little deeper. I think I should just put it flat. I was trying to have the stem pointing up before, but I think like this is just gonna make more sense. Whew. Okay, so that was quite a project. So now I have these beautiful cuttings here. These four are definitely going to lose their leaves at some point. So I don't know how long those will stick around, but hopefully they can provide enough for the chunk of stem to start rooting. They'll all be in a humidity bin, so moisture loss through the leaves is not going to be a major factor, as it would be under normal conditions. But so rooting plants, they often will lose a lot of leaves because they're just losing moisture and it is straining the plant, the cutting. For these in a high humidity environment, the cutting will be able to retain a higher amount of leaves. So hopefully these will stick around for a while, and then we'll get that fresh growth, and at that point most likely they'll all disappear. And I really would imagine this is going to have what it needs to maintain all these. So I'm definitely psyched for that, and we'll see how much this one bushes out. So I got to get these all watered up and then put in the bins, this one put back in its spot, and then I will come back with an update. Okay, and we're back. So it has been 5 weeks, and I've got some updates for you. So of all the cuttings, this is the only one that rooted. It has some nice roots, and they're gaining speed very quickly now. Now, out of all of those cuttings, this one had the smallest leaf. So what I think happened is with these big fiddle leaves, they are draining the energy of those cuttings. And so I think the drain was just too much, and so the cuttings weren't able to root. That tip cutting with those 4 beautiful leaves, those leaves were perfect for like 2 weeks, and then they started to brown on the edges. So I cut them off, hoping that that would save the cutting, but they had already strained that piece of stem too much, and it wasn't able to grow roots in time. The other single leaf cuttings, they all lost those leaves about a week and a half, 2 weeks in, and they might still root. They're just still in these cups of pumice. I haven't dug them up because I want to leave them alone in case they are doing something under there. So I'll give them some more time. It may be that they just need to recover from the strain caused by the leaf, but we'll see. Now the mother plant, it's got 2 happy sprouts up here, both growing well and looking great. There's a 3rd bud, the next one down, that swelled a little bit, but it hasn't started growing yet. So maybe as this continues gaining momentum, that one will start popping off, which I've seen on some other ficuses. Ficus Audrey did that a lot, but maybe not. Either way, it's looking good and I'm pretty psyched. Now in a couple months, if this 3rd one doesn't grow, I will put some cakey paste on there to try and induce that growth artificially. I don't want to do it now because this plant is recovering from a repot and a chop, and so I don't want to like force it to use resources on something that it doesn't want to grow right now. So I'm going to let it do its thing for a while, and then I'll experiment with that paste later on if I need to, which I've never used before, so it seems really cool, and I do want to try that out. So all in all, not everything I hoped for, but I got more branches than before. I got cutting I didn't have. So that is a win. Plus I had a lot of fun doing it because plant projects are amazing. So for now, I'm gonna let this thing grow as much as possible. I lowered my grow lights to it, so hopefully it just goes crazy over the next 6-8 months or so, and then I can cut it back and get it to really bush out more next year and propagate a little bit differently. But in the meantime, that is going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned a lot. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. Please hit me up down below. But for now, just have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I do hope to see you back here again real soon. All right, peace.